going into this experience thinking, like, I know that I can finish, I will finish, and just almost sounds quite like strange, but I'm gonna have to just understand that I need to embrace the pain.
Okay, let's start with introducing yourself.
I am Megan Gosh, I'm 39 years old and I have signed up to do a full Ironman in Port Macquarie in 2 weeks' time.
How are you feeling right now?
Terrified, but excited.
Why did you choose to do a full Ironman?
I feel like it's the next step that I want to take. So growing up, I was very athletic. I did so many sports that I can't even think of, from soccer, athletics, cross country, and I went pretty far in both hockey and softball. And then around 18, I joined the army, and for about 9 years, I loved being in the army. But towards the end of my career, I started getting quite a lot of injuries. So I first started off with my back, and then I went to my knees, and then on my final exercise I actually tore my right shoulder. So when I discharged out of the army, I went through quite a lot of surgeries. I found out that I had chondromalacia patella in both knees, which basically means that I don't have very much cartilage left, and I had a number of surgeries. One of those surgeries actually caused a blood clot that went to my lungs. And from, I guess, all the pain relief that I was taking from all those surgeries, about 2 or 3 years later, I actually had a heart attack. So I decided that I needed to get all pain relief and try and get some strength and conditioning back into my life, and I actually found CrossFit. So I did CrossFit for a number of years and loved it. I'm even coaching CrossFit now, and through that I went on a retreat over in Bali, and I think I was snatching or squatting at the time, and I felt my right knee give way. When I came back home, I again went through and saw a bunch of surgeons and had a lot of scans, and found out that I had osteoarthritis in both my knees. So the surgeon at the time suggested that, well, didn't suggest, pretty much said that you can no longer weightlift, CrossFit, run, anything that was load bearing. So he said you can take up swimming or cycling, that would be less impact on the knees. And the way that my brain thought was, well, that's 2 points out of doing a triathlon, so why not do a triathlon? So I actually did a 70.3 in 2023. And again, it was just meant to be like a one and done. Like, I felt like I had kept on getting so much bad news about my body that I wanted to have a really hard, arduous task. And that just seemed quite logical to me. And it was really interesting because when I was setting up my bike gear, so I was laying out my kit where my bike was racked, the guy next to me asked if it was my very first Ironman. And I said, yep, this is definitely going to be a bucket list thing, it's a one and done. And I thoroughly enjoyed that Ironman. The swim was really daunting because I had never done an open water swim in the comforts of being in a pool, but jumping in, swimming with a whole massive peep, the water was freezing, I do remember that, but getting out and knowing that I had just won 1.9 kilometres, and then getting on the bike, and again the bike, I could not believe how well I was doing. I got to like the 45 kilometre mark and just had the biggest smile on my face because I wasn't in any pain, I was just enjoying the day. And I knew the run was going to be the most difficult, but again, started running, and it was just such an enjoyable experience knowing that for so much time I kept on getting told what my body couldn't do, and here I am actually doing something mammoth and I'm getting through. And I crossed that line with a bigger smile. And I don't know whether it was driving home to my sister's place or driving back down to Canberra that I kind of had the thought that I could definitely do a full Ironman. So I thought Port Macquarie being the mecca of Ironman, why not?
What have you learned through training for an Ironman?
That it requires you to be really, really selfish. And I'm not a selfish person. Doing the half Ironman training, it wasn't as difficult because you're only doing like an hour here or there on the bike, a little bit of running, a little bit of swimming. I say little, but it was pretty big at the time because still my first swim, I think I swam 50 metres and almost died. But with a full Ironman, it requires almost like 20 hours of training a week. You're sitting on a bike for not an hour now, but up to 3 hours at a time. And then with your long bricks, you're doing 5-6 hours on the bike and then going for a long run, whether it's like another hour or two.
What did you expect and what was unexpected?
I expected the training to be difficult. What I didn't expect was how much fitness I've been able to gain over the last 6-7 months of training for this.
What have you found difficult?
The thing that I found most difficult, you have these peaks and troughs in every training where one week you're nailing at it and the next week you do like a speed session or a hard bike session and you just feel fatigued and tired and not fit at all. And it's those moments where you kind of have to sort of think like, what did I do the night before? Did I eat enough? Did I rest enough?
What have you learned about yourself?
I've learned that I'm very mentally tough. That just doing an Ironman in a perfect body with no injuries and stuff would be quite difficult. But I'm doing it with 2 knees that are barely hanging on for life, my back, I've now got some problems with my hip. And through all that, I'm still turning up, doing the sessions and going into this experience thinking, like, I know that I can finish, I will finish. I'm gonna have to just understand that I need to embrace the pain.
What are you expecting Port Macquarie full Ironman to be like?
Well, I've never been to Port Macquarie and I'm really excited to see what that looks like. The mecca of Ironman, that's where Ironman originally started. So the fact that I'm doing something like that, the swim is quite unique where you actually get out of the water about 1 kilometre a bit into it to cross over a bridge and then you dive back in to swim around and then you come back out of the water to cross that bridge again. So the fact that I'm going to have like a little mental break and be able to breathe and all the rest of it, that's going to be great. The bike being rolling hills is going to be pretty gnarly. I would probably say around the 140 kilometre bit is when I'm going to really want to get off that bike. The run, knowing that you've got through the first 2 disciplines and you're on your last little bit. I've never run a marathon before and that was the same when I did the 70.3. I had never run a half marathon before. I've done 2 since then. So the fact that 1 marathon and knowing that I'm going to cross that line with the biggest smile is going to be incredible. Done?